is a slog, by the way. This is just a few things you're going to learn here, a few things. I'm not going to teach you everything about testing and debugging because you can never finish testing and debugging. That is something that you're going to find new errors, new issues in your code base. But I'm going to show you how to do research, even using AI. That is what I'm going to do. You're going to show you how to, just giving a few concepts that show techniques on how to debug even using AI and even using your browser. WebSockets is a concept. Then my favorite part, actually, it is here. I built a tool the other day to make sure that the Git is well understood by everybody. Let me just show you the tool. It's a tool that I created that is summarizes, that helps you to make sure that Git is not a problem. So here is a tool. It is called, the last time I did a release is 3 days ago. So it is called Git Talk. It is amazing. You can just install it on Windows, on Mac, on Linux. And let me just show you how it works. I created that tool because I was facing a certain challenge of pushing code base to do different GitHub accounts, by the way. I was trying to push projects to different GitHub accounts. Let me show you. There's a project that is here. I was trying to push this project, the one that you're seeing here first. This project here, I was trying to push it also at the same time to this one. So I was facing a lot of backlashes, issues there. Then I decided, okay, let me create something that is going to ease that. So just a matter of just writing one command, it does it all. For example, let us go here. I say that I want to push something here, right? So actually, this is the project that I've been working on. For example, I want to push all. So I say push all, then dry run. It's going to tell me what to expect. So it's going to run a dry run, blah, blah, blah. So if right now I want to push to the two origins, it's going to give me that. So unless I do a commit or pull. So you see these commands, they help me do amazing stuff. And as you can see, what I was telling you is, you can say git cheat sheet. Now here it is. Let me zoom out. It's a tool that I've already installed it, by the way. So you can just do git cheat sheet or git talk help. Then you're going to get this. So as you can see, it has 35. You can clone, but don't say git clone, just say clone, initialize, status, add all, commit, push all. A lot of commands that you didn't even know. Let's say, for example, right now you commit something, but you don't know how to uncommit. So there's a command for that. It is called soft reset. Where is it? I created that command there. And good thing, actually, you can go and study that repo. Where is it? Not seeing it. You can go and study that repo and see how I did it. I've upcoded some of the few things there, but most of the things research soft. It's going to undo the last commit that was done and restore to the previous one. So I'm not trying to market my project here, but I'm just trying to tell you that everything that you're learning, even in week 7, that is where I was in week 7. It is all about Git. It's all about, for example, for me to publish these things, how do I do that? You can go here to GitHub workflows. You can check the CI. So this workflow is the one that makes sure that you have the newest version. You can update to the newest version or not. So this is the entire. I've been writing these things for a while, so I know how it works. And as you can see, it is amazing. So right now you can check, you can do GitHub update. You're seeing the latest release and so on. So this one is the one that is responsible. And you can come here and check. That one is called DevOps now. You can go to releases. I have 4 of them. Actually, this one is tagged as latest. When I push to the latest release, it is going to compile. So the commits that I write, it is going to compile to as the release notes. So it is telling you what the latest version is all about. Version 1.4.0 has these new features. Actually, it's the one that I was adding Windows and everything else and fixing some bugs here and there, doing some improvements. So Windows was the one that was added. It was here, but it was not working well. But then I came and add few capabilities here and there. So what has changed exactly, and even bumping and so on. So even tagging all of this, making sure that my commits are verified, registered, like it's only me who has done that. So doing this, that is what week 7 can do. So that is what week 7 can do. So don't know what people are saying on the chats. Someone saying keep time. Don't know. If time gets there and you still feel that you're stuck here, you can just drop off the call, jump on the next call. Now, that is what week 7 does, whereby you learn how to write workflows that whenever you push to GitHub, it automates then the final project. So today we want to see where a few issues are there from people where you didn't understand. I'm going to take like 3. Then I'm going to see if they're major. So most of the time I know that people don't understand data management and people don't tell you they're not going to, that thing is very easy. Like I told you, I'm not going to give you the nitty-gritties of Tailwind because the documentation is there. But something about state management, people normally confuse that between state hooks and use effect hooks and how to go around that. Then I can conclude on showing you how React can communicate to Express. You already know how Express communicates to MongoDB, right? So we are going to see a preview of a full stack project which can have React, Express, and Mongo are the same project. So that is what I want us to conclude with. But let me take a few questions. I can see the repo. Okay, I'm going to share that as well. Now, let me take a few questions. We are going to start our project. You're going to follow me closely, but this is not a class. This is just to help you see. Even if I'm going to rush with the project that I'm going to do here with you, remember, this is to prepare you for the Friday's class so that when you go in Friday's class, you know, okay, I know React, I know Express, I know MongoDB. Now let me bring everything together. So that's what I want to show you. In the process, you're going to see how I do things. Kindly just observe on a few matters. You're going to see some similarities on backend and frontend. So for now, I know people don't understand state hooks and people don't understand use effects. People don't understand how API communicates to the front end. That's the biggest, because I've already gone through that myself. I know how it feels like. I'm going to share the repo. You're going to see that. And then I'm going to show you how to create endpoints, because I remember I've not shown you how to create endpoints on Express. It was purposely I did that because I wanted to show you in another forum. So we are not going to do payment integration. That is a unique topic that is not within the curriculum. We are just giving you the bare metal. These are the things you can now bring them as you code along, because if I give you payment, it means that I have to teach it in class, while people are not going to create everything regarding payment. So allow me to just spin up a project. Oh, we close what I had before. Copy this. First of all, I had something here. Hold on. Perfect. Close this terminal. Also this one. Open a new one. CD man. No. CD desktop. Those people who have Windows. I don't know Angela. Angela is here. How is Linux? How is Linux? Can just text us or still setting it up. Yeah. Just take it slow. It is something that you have to take it slow. Why is it giving me these things? Oh, man, stuck. Somebody's using VirtualBox. Just that is barely just using WSL on Windows. Uh, Content. Week one catch up, week two catch up. So NKDIR. Catch up. What am I doing by the way? NKDIR. So we want us to spin a project. I want to show you the method, the method that I use. Please follow along. Follow along. Then I'm going to do it a bit unique. Then I'm going to be taking questions later on. Hold on. Hold on, I'm fetching something here. So I want to create to work with a project that is going to have backend and front end side by side. Okay, class rules. Let us focus in class right now. The class is in session, just like the court is in session. Now, the usual way to make sure that you people really understand how the three integrates, I'm not going to do a very big project, no. I want us to do something like a task manager, whereby the front end is going to be just React.js with JSX Tailwind. I'm going to introduce a tool there. The backend is going to be Express.js, and then database is going to be MongoDB. And then the API now is going to be via REST API. So the backend is going to have REST API. The front end is going to use something called Axios. I can use fetch in React, but that is going to limit us. So we are going to use Axios. So we are going to create folders here. We are going to work with folders, and I'm going to show you how. Now, first thing first, you need to have a folder structure. So we want to do something like a sort of a task manager, whereby you can add and view tasks. You can mark tasks as completed. The reason why you usually do task management is because it brings out the essence of CRUD operations, which is create, read, update, delete, the CRUD operations. That's why you mostly do that. You can delete tasks, then you can do full integration between front-end and back-end. Then maybe then and then I can be able to add one more feature, which is authentication and authorization. Now, this is going to help you know if you're creating a user authentication, having register and login, you know what to hide and what not to hide, what to allow the user to see and what not to allow the user to see unless you're logged in. But that is not a high priority. The high priority is make sure that we spin fast what needs to be there. Now, let us call this project maybe quick tasks, right? Quick tasks. So I change into directory. So follow closely, the session is being recorded. So follow closely. So quick tasks. From there, we can now be able to spin. Let us start with the backend. That is the easiest. So mkdir server. So let us call our backend server. So whenever you see server, then we can just say and server, a simplest way of creating and changing into it. Now, after entering into the backend, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? Is to initialize, remember? So let me just do it quickly. Remember, we are doing it quickly, so these things you already know. You can slow down the video later on to check where you forgot. So just allow me to spin quickly. You can give me thumbs up if you allow me to do that, because it's a catch-up class, just to give you a preamble of what is ahead of us. Great. So after that, we install a couple of things. So remember we said that we are working with NPM, PNPM for ease. So I see I've already created something here, so let me remove it. So because we're working with the NPM, PNPM, we normally say PNPM init without the Y. So it's going to create the package.json. Then I'm going to say PNPM add express, add again mongoose, add course. Course allows front end to communicate with the backend cross origins. So it allows these URLs to tap into the backend and forth to make sure that communication is there. Then I'm going to add one more thing, which is .env. Why? This is going to be our environment storage, whereby we can store our keys and private keys and our private URLs that we don't want people to see it out there. If I don't want you to see something that I've stored like an API key or API route, API URL, this is part of security measures. So it is called .env. So it is just .env. You hit enter. It's going to download 4. Maybe there are new versions there. Okay. After that, I want to make it very simple. I'm going to start with something simple. So I'm going to say debug, and then I'm going to open the code base in VS Code, and you're going to see the server. So inside the server, you can do it on the terminal. It is easier to do it on the terminal. So server, whereby you can just come and say, to create a file, you just say touch server.js. Windows people don't complain. You can do the same thing in Git bash on Windows. If you have installed Git bash, Git, it comes with Git bash. So open that terminal for Git bash. You can do all of this Linux command, by the way. They're there. Remember Git, if you don't know, by the way, let me educate you on this. The person who created Linux operating system is the same person who created Git. The name of the person is called Linus Torvald something. But I know one of his name is called Linus. So he created Linux and Git. So they are one and the same thing, that they communicate really well. So to create a file, you just say touch. We are not in church whereby you say touch. Now just say touch, because it is going to create a file. So when you come back here, you can check the file. You can check the dependencies that you've already installed, course.env, express, and mongoose. Now navigate to your file. Now, in this file, let me just run quickly. So we put the obvious, const express, require, then we say we are importing express. The next thing we need mongoose. Mongoose require. What are we bringing in? So we are bringing mongoose itself. And then we have course. So everything that you have just installed, you can just import them directly. For ease, require, you can say require course. What else? You're remaining with the .env, right? So for .env is a bit unique. So this one you just come say require .env. Then you're importing the configuration as well. Config, that's method for configuration. Now you are now able to use .env. After that, you come and say, let us start the application. Express, just like that. And then let us put a couple of middlewares. So app.use, we're putting security there, like everything to pass through here. Course, then app.use, you say express.json. So we want everything JSON to be passed, to be allowed to pass. Now, the next thing is to connect to the database. So you can see how I'm doing things like swiftly. So connect, let me just mention here, connect DB. So for connecting DB, remember the mongoose that we just brought. So mongoose, I don't want to say mongo, just .connect. So we are connecting where? Now, this is what I want to show you. And I want you to pay attention really, really well because it is important. Now, outside here, I want to put, I can have an environment here if I want to. I can have an environment here, but let me just put it inside here. So inside the server file, you come and create .env file. In there, you're going to put environment. So you come and say, my environment is going to be called mongo.uri. Already near the meaning of URI, not URL, URI. Universal Resource Identifier. Now, we come and put now your MongoDB URL. URI now, come and say localhost, port 27, is it 27017, I think. Then let us put our database as quick tasks and leave it at that. Now, instead of now bringing the entire thing here as we have been doing, we just need this. Come and import this one already configured in line 5. You just come and say, now, the process is very simple. Just come and say process dot env, and then you put dot the environment variable that you want to be displayed there. But then, of course, you know that we are not done. So we are not done because we have to allow a couple of things. So use new URL parser. And remember, to use it's always camel case. So also we want to allow a unified topology. So use, this is normally unified topology. If you've done Express, if you've done PostgreSQL, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So use unified topology. Or if you have done GIS or anything, you can just go and research why this person keeps saying using this, and this. Now, after that, let me leave it at that because we can have routes here or we can have routes outside there. So it's just a matter of us deciding what to have in, what to have out, you see. So for me, I would like us to have it outside there so that we can be able to import them, right? So we want to have the model, so we can create a model outside, or what we can do, we can just junk everything together. So because of time, just allow me to put everything together so that you can be able to follow. But because the code base is not going to be big, The reason why I'm doing this is because I can just import this one and do it outside here, then come and do it inside here, and so on and so on. Like it's going to be very slick, very easy. So const task mongoose. This auto completions. Don't know. Yeah, model. So the model that I want is called task. So you're kind of creating a schema. So new mongoose.schema. Remember the schema that we have been talking about. So this creating this schema. Now we want a text because to have that we need a text. It is not compulsory, so we are not going to keep it as required. Completed Boolean, and by default is normally false. So completed. But for now, I'm seeing I'm not defining anything. We are going to see how to do that dynamically. So let me just mention the data types as we move along. Now, people, that is the model. Like we have just created a model. Let us see the routes. How to create the routes. You see, quickly, I've already advanced to the next file, like which is routes. So this is where you're going to put how to put post, get, put, and delete really quick. So let us start with the get, app.get. So if you're in another file, instead of using app, I'll be just, let me split this into files, right? Let me split this into files because it is going to bring chaos and confusion. I want to split them into files so that we can go to have clean code. So I'll be able to come here and create models, and then I'll be able to come inside here and create routes. I'll be able to come inside here and create, not there, let me create here config. I'm going to tell you why. Do you need a controller really? Do you really need a controller? Let me think. Yeah, let me do it in a professional way, by the way. Let me do it even a controller because might as well just put it. And then you're going to see something new, by the way. Controllers. This is building something that you can scale into something very big later on. Now, we have config controllers, models, and routes. And we have server.js. So allow me now to flow. Things are going out of flow. Now, for now, let me see where. So I'm going to remove this. I'm going to remove that up to there. From there, I'm going to create some premeditated files, connection. Then we are going to go back and see how we can be able to connect them. Remember, you start coding from the top of your head, then you flow. So dot env. I didn't say we cannot do that, but actually we can. So dot env, we are importing dot env. Yeah, like that. So those are, we need like how many? We don't need mongoose here because we are going to have a configuration file. So let me just remove it. So here we can have the configuration file for connecting. So connect db require. We are going to see where it is required. So here I'm going to say dot config, and then I'm going to say db. So that kind of file we are going to create it just by control click, then creates inside there. But then this one is going to be db.js. So let me rename it the JS. Yep. But I just want db. Don't want JS. Now, we need the tasks, right? So we are going to connect that from the controller. So task, routes. You're going to see how it flows directly from the controller. So just be patient and see. I know time is really much gone. Then you can say, call this one task routes. Just like that, we are going to see how to sync it. Now, let us leave it at that. Let us handle this one. Then after handling this one, you're going to update here. Then after handling everything pertaining routes, you're going to handle it here. But in the meantime, this is how you can go to connect. So .env.config, we're bringing that function here. Then connect db. You're also bringing it as a method. You're going to write that method inside there. And then the usual things, we start an app equals to express. And after that, we have our middlewares. So .use, we want the course. And then we add app.use, we want express JSON. Just like that. So let me leave it at that. We are going to come back later. So we go to the config file. So the config file, where is it? Here it is. So the config file, very simple. We start with the Mongoose. This is where connection for MongoDB comes in. So that if you get an error, you can separate it and debug it separately. Mongoose, then we are talking of const. So to fire up the connection, remember we talked about ConnectDB, right? So this is the exact thing that you are going to use here. So ConnectDB, we are going to use asynchronous operation such that, remember I told you, you have to wait for the connection to happen successfully. If it doesn't, you throw an error, right? So the same thing. So async, we bring my favorite arrow function, and then we put a try catch. This is a try catch. So this try catch, you come and say, I wait for what to happen, I wait for Mongoose to connect, but it is connecting via what? So .env.mongo URI. It's connecting via that. Spelling there. It's connecting via that. So remember it is connecting via that, but also we need the unified topology, use new URL parser. Right? So this one is true. Then use unified topology. That's the exact thing that we are doing the other side, topology. After that, I think we are good. Now we can now throw an error with peace. So we can come and say, okay, if that is okay, now do a console log just to confirm that everything is okay. So this console log remains on the terminal. Come and say MongoDB connected. Just leave it at that. Now, if there's an error, please just throw it. So console.error, not .log, .error for expansion of that, or we call it verbosity of the error, like to zoom in on the error. Can come and say MongoDB connection failed. So what's the reason for the failure? Can come and say just error dot, then can give that message. Now, then you can now exit. If the error is there, please, there's a way that you can go to exit or just leave it. Not a must, by the way. It's not a must. So process.exit method instructs Node.js to terminate the process synchronously with the exit code. So if the code is omitted, for example, you can see exit uses either code 0, or the value in the process called blah, 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 blah. So you can see we are writing 1. So it only takes integers. So this is an exit code. They're telling Node.js terminated the terminal. Like don't run it. Just kill the terminal. Now you're done. After that, remember, for us to be able to use this, we need to export it. Like, how do you export it? So you come and say module.exports, then you export it. So you export it as that, and it's going to come out like a function. So in this, that's what you're seeing here. So it is easier to debug, to know exactly where the issue is. That is done. Let us move to the next task, which is the models. Now, models are very easy task. So we are going to say this one is called task.js. So let me just copy what I was having here for ease of operation. So we come and say const, then we come and say task schema. Are you seeing how we are flowing swiftly without any issue? Like, you can be making stories as you code, by the way. It becomes easier. So we need text. And this text is going to have the following. It's going to have the type of string. And it's going to be required. We need it, by the way. We need it. So required. So for me, my goal is to make sure that your coding is as easy as saying hello. Like, should be easy. So complete, the default for complete, if you're creating a task, it is not completed by default. It is not completed. So the type here, the data type is going to be Boolean. And of course, the default Boolean is called false because it's not completed by default. Now that is done. Simple. That is done. So let me close this one as well to avoid errors. Then close that one. After that, let us export it. So module, not model. Module.exports. So what are you exporting exactly? Exporting mongoose.model that is carrying a couple of culprits here called tasks. The other time I just exported directly, so task schema. We are done. In how many seconds? I don't know. We are done with that file. Let us go for the controllers. You have not seen this, but I'm going to show you how the controllers work. They work hand in hand with the routes. But it is important to separate the logic. The control is now the logic, the main logic, man. So task. Remember this one that we wrote here actually. You can just come here and copy. No, we didn't by the way. So task. It is called task controller. .js. Now while inside, very simple. Just first of all, bring the model. Just bring the model first of all. So task. Just like that. We are required. So require. And then we are going to say, think we are going back 2 steps, then task, we are done. So we just import. We need it because we want to channel data into that database. That's how you have to understand. For the logic to work, for you to post data to the database via the logic, you need the database available. Now let us start by get all tasks. So how do you do that? So you come and say const get tasks. So you just create these mini functions. So asynchronous operation as well is going to take request and response. It's going to take request and response as parameters. After that, we are going to say, so for us to fetch all the tasks, we need to wait for it to be searched. So await task.find. So we need to find it. So while we wait for it to be found, so if it finds anything, just respond as a JSON with the task that you found in the database. That is exactly what I'm talking about here. We are done with that, by the way. Kaput. So let us go for the another one, which is create a task. How do you do that? To create a task, very simple. You say we need a create task with an asynchronous operation, taking request and respond as parameter. I know I'm flying at 100 kilometers per hour. That's okay. We already done this thing. So we need to create a new task. So we come and say new task to create in the database. you need to put it. So we put the request from the body, from the user's body, like what you have given us. So we need to do that. Then wait for it to be saved, by the way. You have to wait. Sit there and wait. Dot save. So wait for it to be saved in the database. After that, now tell us what has been saved exactly. What has been saved? Tell us. Now, after doing that, you're giving us the task that have been saved on the database. This one is going to be passed to the UI, telling the user interface, okay, we have created it. Here it is. You have to show us proof. So we are done with that. Let us go to another one. So update a task. So to update a task, how do you do that? So const, come and say to just update task. Asynchronous operation as well. We are not tired of doing that. So synchronous operation, taking request and respond. Request, respond. And from there, what are we doing? So remember, we were talking about this thing called route parameter, right? But we are going to see that in routes. But the logic itself, how do you handle the logic for the route parameters? So we have to say this one is the updated one, right? We're not going to say update, so we wait. So wait for anything to be. So we are going to find by ID and update. Remember that functionality in MongoDB? So find by ID and update. We have find by ID and delete. We are going to also do that in the next controller or the next logic. For now, we are saying find by ID and then update. So for you to find a specific task, you have to search by ID, then update it. So wait for us to find it by ID. So you come and say find by ID, and then you can see we have find by ID and delete and find by ID and update. So find by ID and update. So for first step first, you have to find it. So use the params.id. So this one is going to find it. It's going to search everywhere and find it. After finding it, it's going to take it and then say, I need something new. Say new. We need something new. So this is just a validator. Then update what you're updating, by the way. So in the request body, so you find this first part you find, and then this second part, you now update what you need to update. Then you say this one is a new one, new update that you're bringing in, and then respond. Give the user saying that you have already updated it. So updated, very simple. We are done with that. Just like drinking water, simple. Now, we are done with updating tasks. Now, how about deleting them? Delete tasks. Delete a task. Remember, I'm saying a task because it is one. Delete a task because it is one. So if it is deleting a task, what are we going to do? So for us to be able to delete a task, we can say this is get all task, but all of them. That's why I'm doing it different. So const delete task. You see, I'm using the same account as the one of the session that is about to happen. I don't know what is going to happen, but we are going to see. Request, respond. So to delete a task, we are going to find, we are not going to update, so we only need this part. We only need this part and a message to assure that it's deleted, by the way. So we are going to say, wait for us to find it first. So await task. So task.find by ID and delete. Then we need just something to fetch it. So params.id. Then after that, just confirm that it's deleted, by the way. Because this find by ID and update, this is actually allows us to update using this. Then here we just need a confirmation message. So message deleted. Deleted. If we are going to, if the session ends and I'm kicked out of this session, we are going to have to do it inside the Google Meet. I'm going to share a link swiftly first, then we're going to do it there. It is not going to be recorded there, but yeah, we are going to do it there. But the main session is going to be on Friday. Now, after that, let us now export everything. So faster, just faster, module.exports. We're exporting a couple of things. All of these, delete task, update task, everything is going to be exported. So to export as massive, this is how we do it. So get tasks, create task, update task, and then delete task. So all of them, we are exporting them. Then I'm closing here. Yes, all of them are exported. Now, if that is done, let us now go to the routes. So for the route, you're going to say we say task routes. I remember it very well. .js. Now we are going to bring in all of this that we've just created into task route, but in a very simple way, by the way. Check it out. So we just say express, we import express, require, so require what? So require express. So we need the route itself, that's why I'm bringing it in. So const, we import everything. So let me just copy them. It will just copy them. So from where exactly? So require from 2 steps, then you go to the controllers, then you take the controller. So we are importing all of them there. Then after that, very simple, we need to bring in the router. So we need to create the router. So just like we did it for the app, so we need to create the router. So to create the router, we are going to say const router, then you come and say express. Within express, we have something called route or routes. I'm going as fast as I can, by the way. Now, after that, it is going to be easy now to call. So and so come in. So and so come in. So watch and see, by the way. And they're going to see that the experience is worth it. So get. So for you to get, you're going to call the parameter there. Then you're going to just say get. Yeah, get task. Simple, you're done. Go to the next one. Go to the next one. Just like that. So router dot post. So you can see the code is very clean. The code is very clean. So create. Just wait for it to load. You're done. Go to the next one, router. So this is where I'll be able to now put route protection. Like if you're not registered as a user, you're not going to access a certain route. So here we need put. So here, if it is updating, remember the route parameter that I told you? So just need the route parameter just like that. Can be anything. Then you come and say update. Wait for it. Done. Then we go for another one. So this is how we do it professionally by the delete. Also, you need the route parameter. Then you come and say delete. Done. So imagine how we are less than a minute or two, we have already done the routes. It is done. It's a matter of just exporting them. The reason why I'm doing it aside is because I can now come and use authorization later if I want to be able to protect my routes if I want to. So we just come and say route. Just like that. Now, if I go back here, you can see how the codes are being flowing. Like, if you really understand it, by the way, because you have the main logic, you have the routes now. When you go to server, it is going to be very much clear for you to actually inject code. How do you do that, by the way? For you to do that, you come and say just routes. Come and say app.use. Remember, it is here already. It is here, the routes. The routes are here. So you just come and say, what do you call it? App.use. So we create now an endpoint. This somebody's calling me. Going to call back now. You create an app like an API endpoint. You come and say API. So this is how you create an API endpoint. So to create an API endpoint, now you can call now task routes. You're done. So whenever you want to have an endpoint, you start from here. Then from here, elsewhere. You can go now to put anything that you want. Let me see. So do you need to start the masterclass and I'm blocking? Okay, I need to complete. So we need to shift to the next part, by the way. Allow me to shift, but we have already done this. I've just pinned the back end in the shortest time possible. We've already done everything that needs to be done on the back end. So allow me. Now, so let us continue where we left off. Hey, please people on mute. That's why I was muting you. Let me continue muting you. Also your videos. As you join in. Okay, let us continue. Now, So, I hope you can see my screen. Nice. So let us continue. By now, we have done a lot. What you're supposed to see, everything is on the server, nothing out. That is just the backend, and you're going to see how the backend works. You can check here, but now we have not concluded the server. So let us conclude it, by the way, because that's the last piece for us to make sure that everything works. Now, when you're done with the routes, where we left at, you're just going to say const. Let us have the port. So I'm going to define the port, but the port I'm going to define it this way. I'm going to say process.env.port. Then, if that doesn't work, I can have a fallback. You normally have a fallback, you can just port directly. So this one that you're seeing here, this is the one that I'm going to bring it here. And then I'm going to say equals to 5,000. So if this one doesn't work, it is going to fall back to this 5,000. So it is this or using the OR gate or this, either. So it's going to prioritize this one, then that one. So that is called a fallback. Now we want to listen to the port, and then come and say port. Don't know how many people are joining, but I can see people streaming in. Let them continue streaming. The repo is going to be shared, please. Also with the detailed README. I'm going to use AI to scan the code, then it's going to give me a README. So console log, we just want to piggyback and say it is connected. So using backtick, so template literals, server running on HTTP local. What am I doing with the local host? You're talking about port. So what kind of port are we talking about? It's supposed to be out there. So it is going to pick the necessary port. So people, we are done. Our backend is done. For you to make sure it is done, just make sure you have all of this. Then you can come comfortably and fire up your server. So you're going to say, we are not done yet by the way, so let me see. There's something that I missed. We need something to keep this persistent, and then we're going to change this one. So let me remove this and say, whenever we say dev, I need us to say node server, server.js, and also come and change the entry file here, server.js. It's not important, but okay, let's just do it. So which means I need node mode, right? So just come and say pnpm, still in the server, add node mode. It's going to add it already installed, so just adding it. There you go. So anytime I say npm pnpm run dev, is going to just run that. So you're supposed to confirm that and say PNPM run dev. If everything goes correctly, you're going to get this message, MongoDB connected, which means your server is up and running. You can go to the database and confirm that you have a database called QuickStart. And come and check here. So let us connect and check we have QuickStart right there. The task which is empty. So that is how we can do the backend. Now the front end. So the front end, because you have done the backend, now the front end should not be an issue. So how do we do that? Let us close this. Go back. So the front end is not hard. The front end is not hard. We are going to have a component, we are going to have a service file, and you are going to see how things are flowing. So just sit back and see how things are flowing, because it's really important for you to see. If you're not going to be careful on this, it might pass you. And I don't want that to happen. So, okay, let me see. So we are talking about Vite, right? So I'm going to create a folder, so mkdir client cd into client. What am I doing? Now, it is normally PNPM. What did you say about PNPM? Because we need to start it from scratch using Vite. People are texting me. Let's see. Yeah, okay, that's okay. So using PNPM, we say that Vite at latest. So because we are already into the front end folder, instead of doing it out, we are going to say period. When you put period, what you mean is from the current directory, from the present working directory. When you put period or full stop, then come and say template React. One and the same thing, by the way. One and the same thing. You can remove it, you do what you do, or you can just, or if you don't understand it, you can just put period and hit enter. Then come and choose React. Somebody is unmuted. Who is that? Okay, so I've enabled the turn on microphone and video. Okay, let us continue. Now, let us choose the third or the fourth, either. Then you're done. Now, you can check everything under the hood. So it has started it under. When you put period, it's going to create it inside. So after that, just do PNPM install. You know the reason why you're using PNPM, right? It is going to enable us to avoid having very big node modules that they don't matter. Somebody is saying something here. Somebody is recording or what? Because for me, I don't know how to record it. I don't know everything, by the way. I don't say that I know everything. We close this. Perfect, Zach. Perfect. Thank you for that. For saving the day. You're a real cousin. Now, let us continue. We need to have Tailwind, but I told you like Tailwind is a tricky one because the latest version is not like the previous version, so you need to tread carefully. So using PNPM, we just come and copy this and come and say PNPM. Remember we are at the front end. PNPM add Tailwind and Tailwind Vite. Right? Now, having that, we also need to create another file. So this is our server closed. Let us deal with our front end. So you need to create a file here called tailwind.config.js. If you don't want to use version 4, that's okay. For version 3, it comes with Tailwind automatically, Tailwind config, but you have to make sure that you are pinging the right version of Tailwind, because version 4 doesn't have a creation of this file. And then I can just copy the other ones that they have. But in the meantime, let me copy these things that I'm saying here. Just copy and paste. Come on, write, come on, copy, paste. You come to this, copy, comma, and then paste. Just like that. Simple. Should not be an issue there. Now, for what we call, remember we talked about these files. So just target this one, remove everything, then come here and copy this and put it here. And then you're done. Yeah, you're done. So we don't need other things like this one, don't need it. You need this, you need that. Let me see. So for this config, don't be shy, just come and copy the previous one, because you can check this, the structure. This is the structure that I'm talking about. You can just come and copy this, how it is. So for me, I'm just going to copy it, because it serves one and the same thing, but I'm going to add a few things. So we are talking about this and this, but also we can have the JSX as well, but we are not interested in HTML. Yeah, so those two. Yeah. So having this, we are done. For index, you are used to having 3 of them here, but we only have 1 this time. Just import Tailwind. Now, from there, we are done, I think. Let me see. According to Tailwind, I think we are done. So using Vite, using post CSS, then I come and put it here in the plugin, the same thing, using Tailwind CS. So using Vite. So right now we are installing it, we are working with Tailwind as a Vite plugin. You can work with Tailwind as a post CSS plugin. For us, we are working with that. So we don't need the post CSS shenanigans or anything, or auto prefix or something. So let us just proceed. Now, we need to establish our structure. So we go to SRC, we create a folder called components. This time I'm not going to use a shared CM because of time. Then I create a file, let's say this one is going to be called task item.jsx. Let us create another folder. Maybe you can call it pages, I guess. Yeah, let's call it pages. I just want to give you a proper structure that you're going to see. Not necessarily to follow, but let's call it home. Right? And then let us create another one that is going to consume our API. Remember our API that we've just created? So we call it services. This is where you're going to consume your API. So call this one API.js. Now the place whereby you're supposed to focus a lot is now API.js, because that is the midpoint where backend and frontend are converged together. The rest, I think, you're going to leave as they are. Yeah. So let us start with this one, because we are inside here, so we might as well. So there's something that we need to install, or we need to like import, that is very important. It's called Axios. So Axios, we need to use it. For what? It's going to enable us to communicate with the backend. And I told you, you are supposed to sit down and observe similarities. This is the place and the time. Now, for those who don't know Axios, just go and browse. Just say Axios npm. Don't be shy, just go and browse. So you are going to see this is Axios. Go and study it. Go and do research about it. Understand it, why it matters, why it's being used. You can see we also have I've been telling you, when using PNPM, you don't use install, use add. This is how you can just study it and understand it. So let us just, might as well just install it. So PNPM add Axios. So for me, I've not installed it yet, but there it is. So after having Axios, you need to import it. Now, this is the very important thing that I need you to understand or to differentiate. When you are inside here, we are using CommonJS, whereby we are able to use this kind of modules. CommonJS, whereby you use import, which is const express, require express. To export, how do we do that? We say the module.exports. This is now CommonJS. This is now CommonJS. Even when you come here, you can say module. Then now you can put exact module that you have. We have ES, schema script, and we have CommonJS. So for us, this is the backend that is using CommonJS. But for the frontend, by default, they use ES. You can see a type module. So this one is ES, schema script. Go and find the difference between schema script and CommonJS. Now let's go back here. So because it's schema script, I'm going to say import. You can just do the same thing on the back end, but we are used to the tradition. So for Axios, we are done just like that. So import Axios from Axios because we've already downloaded it. Like we already have it. Can come and see. Here it is. Now let us proceed. Having Axios, we need to define house roles. So for us to be able to do that, we need to have a base URL to communicate to. We have a backend, right? We need that API endpoint. So you rush to the backend, you come and say, where's the API endpoint? You come and check, okay, here's the API endpoint that we need. We can take the whole thing, but let us just take the first part, because in a project you can have tasks, you are going to have users. Remember, I told you that you can introduce user authentication, right? So right now it is API/tasks. If the user authentication comes in, you're going to have something like API/users. So you are starting to see how things are coming out. Let me see some charts here. Just hold on. No, it's a service. It is not a, when you're seeing JSX anywhere, just know that it's a user interface, a UI whereby HTML and even Telegram is involved. But barely, when you're seeing here, you're not going to see any Telegram. That's why you're not using JSX. Go and find the difference between JSX and CommonJS and JS. Okay. I'm on another screen, so if you text me, I'm not going to see that. Now, let us proceed. So you come and say, because I've already explained why you're going to only pick the first part. So let us proceed. Now, having this, we are going to put our base URL. Go and say const API. We are going to just define our API base URL. Just say, we need to create our Axios connection within the parameter of the backend. Now, I'm going to say create. Now, watch carefully. This is how you do it. So Axios is very important. So for you to use it, you're going to say base URL. Actually, there's a parameter for that. Then now bring your entire backend. You see, your entire backend. I think you can just get it from here. Just copy this guy. So we are going to say, we are talking about 5,000. Then we are talking about API. We are done. Yeah, just by doing that, we have already established connection. So if this one is up, that's why I use NodeMoon to establish persistence for our server to run. Now after doing that, let us proceed now I told you you're going to see some similarities now. Here it is. So we are going to say export. Just hold on, see export const. Let us now create the counterparts for getting task. Let me just put them side by side for you people to be able to see that. Put them side by side. Where are they? Task. Here it is. So the counterpart for fetching for get task, it is fetch task. We are just creating. You can just say get task here as well, but no. I want when I debug, I know where the issue is, not similarities. So here I'm going to throw in a function that is going to take the API. So API dot get. Then I'm taking what? I'm going to take / tasks. Ladies and gentlemen, that one line is going to connect backend, frontend, and database all the way, such that you can fetch now on the frontend. The only thing that remains is just to use now this. Anytime you want to fetch data, we are going to use this fetch task. Now, that is done. Let us go to the next line. Are you seeing some similarities? Here we're talking about router, you're talking about access. Now let us proceed. Somebody is asking a question here. So for the back end, we already declared that we're using 5,000. For the front end, they are going to use whatever URL that they are going to use, but if it is void, we are using 5173 or 5174, like that as we go on. So for the back end, you already defined the kind of port you have to define. Now let us proceed. Let us do another one. So export. So that one is for fetching task. Now how about creating task? Create task. So you might be able to see some similarity and so on, but that's okay. So create, because I don't have any other word, by the way. I don't have any other word in mind right now. So API dot post. Are you seeing? It is easy now. Task. So what are you posting? For fetching, you just fetch the task, but for posting, you need a task from the user. So this task that I've written, the last one, it's a parameter that you're going to pass it as a prop. You can see you're going to pass this one as a prop to the front, the UI, for it to be utilized there and bring data to this place. Then this one is going to take it here. This one is going to take it here, and so on and so forth. You're going to see how it flows. The journey is very easy to see. So export. I don't have any other word, by the way, so let me just use what I use. But let me just copy this and bring it here so that we can able to have that similarity, by the way. So const. So we are talking about what here? We are talking about a route parameter. So you're going to pass two parameters. So these are props. When you're seeing these parameters here, these are props. Well, they're in the front end, they're called props. If they are in the backend, call them parameters. I'm not saying that parameter and prop are one and the same thing, but depends where they are standing on. So API dot put. So put. So we need two things there. So let us put our template literals task. Then we throw in that thing because the ID can be anything, by the way. So that's how we are doing there. But as well, we need that task. Simple. Then we go to the last one. Delete task. Okay, it is importing something that is not supposed to. Yep. Just hold on, somebody. Hold on, testing somebody. Somebody is asking a question. Let me see. You raise your hand. Let me finish first. You're going to put your hand up. Allow me to finish. I'm almost done. I just want to maintain the flow. No. I come here and say ID. It is deleting. You only need the ID. You find by ID and delete. So API.delete. Then our template literals as usual, because it's going to have that tasks, those tasks that are being fetched. Then ID. You don't need the parameter like the prop to pass. By that we are done. So by 11 lines or a few, you're done with the API. Now, that is exam number one. Exam number 2 is now trying to make sure that this API flows all the way through that river, all the way up. So let me see, people are asking a question. Oh yeah. I'm seeing the issue here. Thank you so much for seeing that. So it's the same as this one. The same as this one. Thank you for that. Okay. Just allow me to finish, Angela. I'm going to enable all of you to ask questions. I'm going to give you a chance for everybody to ask questions as we move along. So that is example number 1. Example number 2 is now to take from here and now flow to the user interface, because this one is just for the middle, bridging the gap. You see, this one is going just to bridge the gap. We're talking about a service gateway here, just to make sure that backend and front end they communicate. This one is like bridging the language barrier. Now let us go to our component, because that is where the item is. Just doing things. So start by const. Now this is where we're going to bring a lot of tailwind. You're going to see a few tailwind here and there. Now for a task item, we need a few things. And I communicated this last week and said that if you're creating a task, what do you need? You need a task, first of all. So let us pass a task as a prop. We need a toggle whereby we can say it is completed or not. So on toggle. And then we need an on delete. Is the task completed? You can delete it. These are just among a few things that you can go to pass. Yeah. Now, let us see. This one is very simple, because the point of this one, I can even go and copy what we had last week. It's just to make sure that the UI is there. So how do we make sure that? So return, we just throw in the JSX immediately. So the JSX is going to have, let us have that list format. We're going to have that list format. So this list format is going to have class name, so class name. So let us imagine, how do you want our UI to look like? So justify between, you know, I'm very careful because I don't have auto-completion items. We want them, all of them at the center. I want our background to be white. If it's not, what else? I want our padding to be of 2, and also our margin bottom to push everything by 2, and then I want shadow. You see, now I'm starting to put commas because I'm used to commas a lot. These are the things that are going to bring a lot of errors here. So shadow, you can already start to picture what we are cooking here. After that, you're not yet done. So let us have a span. The reason why it's been span is when you are not specific on exactly what you want to use. So for this one, I want it to be a text. So task.text. So for you to know where this text is coming from, you can just navigate to the backend or the backend and see the database. You can see we have text here. So this one is a child of this. So task.that one. But this one is coming directly as a prop. those who are raising their hands, I'm going to give you chance and forums for that. Now, let us style this one. How do you want it to appear? So we want to check. So class name. So remember, I believe you already remember the conditional styling that I showed you last week, for those who are there. And even for those who have watched the recording, you have seen the conditional styling that I was doing, whereby I was able to bring in something like this, whereby I say, when you hover, if the task is completed, when you hover, the cursor is going to have this shape. If it is not completed, otherwise, you're going to see, let me just, I don't know how to put it. My mind is running so fast, so pointer. So I'm going to say, let us have the conditionals, whereby if the task dot completed, so remember it is part of it, task dot completed, we are checking. We're checking if the task is completed. If it is completed, true is completed, we have to strike it with a line. So line through. So this is a tailoring styling called line through. We are striking it with a line. You see? And then we put the text to be gray. So text, we put a gray of maybe shade of 400. If it is not completed, we just put it like empty. Just we leave it like that by default. You are going to see the cursor doing this and this now. That is done. Let us see how the button is going to react, because we need a button to delete. We need a button to delete a task, because we have seen the on toggle. Let us see now the completion, if it is completed or not. So what we can do, but I've seen we have not completed this one here, because I'm wondering why this thing is still here. It's because I've not utilized it, because it's supposed to be utilized here. Now here I'm going to say on click, because this adjusts event atlas. Now here I'm going to say on toggle. So on toggle, what exactly should happen when I toggle it? So task dot, in MongoDB we normally say _.id, right? We normally say _.id. Then I close this one right like that. Let me see, there's an issue here. I don't know where this is coming from. Remove it. Where is this coming from? So this one is on toggle. Remove this one. Let me just backtrack. Yeah, there. That is where I left at. So on click, you're talking about on click, right? So on click, we are going to have here. So I see where the issue was. So on toggle, this one is small here. Now we are talking. So task dot _id. That is how MongoDB represents the ID. That's how MongoDB represents the ID. Now we are done with that. Now what remains is now this one. So we can just come and say button. This button, we can put a big X on it and come and put some styling here and say on click. So on click, what is supposed to happen? You can just have the same thing for like on toggle, but this one is going to be on delete. So on delete, what do you want to be on delete? So come and just say task dot _id, right? And then you can now put our class name, which is for the styling. Just come and say, give the text to be red, like red, the shade of 500. And then the font to be very bold. I'm not going to style it a lot today. The font to be very bold. You're done with that. So a little about just styling a few things, and you're done with styling a lot of things. Just close a few things, then export default. So last week I didn't use this method. I used export default, then everything was slowing down to task item. So we're done with that. So this one is going to iterate specifically all the tasks that are going to be listed. They're going to be following this methodology. Now let us talk about home. So the home, we are going to write a few things that are going to be very long. So allow me just to rush a bit. I'm going to explain where necessary. So import, use state because this one is going to have a lot, and also use effect. And then we come and say import task item. We already have there to complete it. Now import everything. You see everything regarding the fetch. So we start with the get tasks that I want more. So create task, update task, delete task. There you go, coming from the API file. After that, let us now follow me very closely, because this is where many people are very confused. This is now where you bring the API to connect to the UI. Just with a simple logic. I'm going to say const home. And then come and say, now, we are now starting the process. So, come first of all, create a state which has task which is going to take to store the current task. Then set task is going to make sure that it updates the current task. Then this one is going to make sure that we have the correct data type in place. That is done. We are talking about task and text, right? So let us as well have text. Set text. And then you can have use state. After that, we have already created the text. So the text is going to be of string character, like data type. This one is going to be of an array. Because when you create a task inside the database, the MongoDB is going to take the task as what? Let me just give an example. The MongoDB takes the task. Let me see, don't know, I can get one. This one is going to appear, let me put it this way, in a JSON way. JSON that you're seeing here, when you have many, it becomes an array. This is an object, by the way, or you can say a document. So this document, when you have more than one, you can only store them inside an array. That is what you're seeing here. So assuming this one is one task that you're seeing here. So if they are many, they are going to be only stored in an array format. Then only text, they are in string format. And we are good now up to that point. Now let us have a use effect, just a side effect. When you take medicine, you normally have side effects. Now let us have a side effect of maybe a consequence of what happens. Like when something is being triggered, something happens. For example, when you mount or whenever the React.js runs on the browser or mounts on the browser, on other words, you're supposed to load all the tasks. So you can come in and say load tasks. We are going to see how this function is going to be very important. Now, for us to achieve this specifically, we need to put a mount point. So this one is a mount point, whereby we are saying whenever we run React.js on the browser, it is going to load all the tasks. Now, where do we get all these tasks? So now, here is the game now. So to get all these tasks, people, it's very simple. You just come and create a function, come and say, call this function load task. Then you go and say, because we need to fetch it from all the way from the database, how do we manage that? We already have the get task here, right? So let us see how to achieve that. This is the similarity that I was telling you. So if you're fetching, we said here, respond by giving the task back to the user. Now, we are going to take this response very serious. You come and say async because it's going to be an asynchronous operation. Doesn't take anything. So, and then you're saying the response that we requested, now it is reaching us. What does it say? So we wait for the response. So the response is saying get tasks. This one here. And you can follow through and see get task, get it from here. This one, get it from here. When you go here, you can see everything how they flow. Now, it is going to get the tasks, right? So get task is a function or a method. But then after that, we need to update the response. Now, the response that we have after fetching ourselves from the front end, it needs to be updated correctly. So we update it where? To the set task. Set task is going to update it inside here. So if this one was one task, this one fetches another one, brings it here. Now 2 tasks. Getting the point? That is how you sync backend and front end. But this is just the second last step, because we have the last step whereby you connect it now to the UI directly. Now let us see the other one. So we are just saying if everything goes well, you are running React on browser. This is called mounting. One time. You're mounting it one time. You're going to load everything. So bring everything with you as soon as you load it on the screen. This one is just fetching all the way from there. Get task, which is linked here, which is linked there and there and there. You can see the tray where it is listed. So handle. Let us handle the add. So to handle the add, you can just say it's very simple. Synchronous operation. Synchronous operation. That is very simple. So you're going to check. You're going to take user's data and check if it is there. First of all, you take it, come and set text, and remove all the white spaces that are before the text that the user is giving, and after the text that the user is giving, removing just white spaces. So we are going to say, if you are checking and if the text is not there, what are you supposed to do? Just, first of all, just return null the first time. This is way cooler to combat these issues way before. If it is there, so we progress and say wait. So wait, what are we waiting for? We are waiting for the user to create task. Remember that create task API, we are waiting for them to create the task. The task that we are waiting is called text. We are taking the text. We are taking the completion as false by default. So if you are creating a task, it means that it's not completed. So by default, give it a false. So this one is part of what we are calling here. Let me bring it. This is part of what you are calling here. Here it is, the request body. You see this request body? This request body, here it is now. The text that you are requiring. So create task. That is what you are requiring. So we are waiting for you to create task. So the asynchronous async wait, the synchronous operation means that the await part, you have to wait for it to complete before going to the next agenda. Now, after doing that, we are not done yet. So we need to update. So this is where I want to bring now JavaScript. That's why I say JavaScript becomes so much cooler when you understand a couple of things. And I've been talking about spread operator for a while, such that I said the spread operator normally copy paste. So initially we had one in our task, right? Then when using set tasks that you're seeing here, we first of all have to copy paste. For us to add a new task, it was initially one. But for us to add two, we need to copy paste one so that we can be able to append two. And then give back the data. So how do we do that? So we take the previous data. We normally call, let me just call it prev, as it's going to pass as a prop. Then not exactly as a prop, but just a parameter to be used. Then I bring in the spread operator for, it's going to copy paste the previous data. But where's the previous data? We have it as ref data. Remember here? This one is the previous data, which is rise.data. So we are taking it and then copy pasting it so that we can add the new task that is being created. Then we can update this one, then this one updates the tasks swiftly. So if you had one task, you now have two. If you had two tasks, you have now three. So it is easier to, it is now how it happens. Like that is exactly how the logic happens. After that, we need to clean. We need to clean what? What exactly do we need to clean? We need to clean the text. So you already created a text. We already have it. Now let us clean it. So this is how we do it. Now, that is handling the data, handling the add. How do you handle the toggle? Like how do you handle to switch between completed and not completed? All of these are huge logics that you are, when you sit down, even if you can go and ask the AIs, they are going to help you understand them better. So handle, can I say handle toggle? This is toggling is switching on and off, on and off. It's like a switch. You can switch off or on. So you can switch as completed or not completed. So for you to toggle or for you to complete a task, you need a specific task, right? So if you need a specific task, you need an ID. So you need to find it by ID first of all. And then to finding it by ID, you come and say const task. I'm going to find it now. So task. Yeah, that's why I told you you're going to see similarities. Remember me doing this? So find. So this task.find, I believe you saw it here. Where is it? This update. You see? Find, task.find. So that's how you're going to see similarities in JavaScript or even other programming languages. So you just need to understand the logic. What is happening? Forget about the syntax, focus on the logic. Exactly what is trying to be achieved here. Because right now we can achieve this one in JavaScript. I can delete everything here and do it in Rust or do it in Python or even C++. But the logic maintains to be the same. So because we are finding by what? So we tend to find it by ID. And the ID, you want to equate the ID that we have in the database. We want to equate the ID that we have in the database. We want to find it first. So we say dot underscore ID. So this one is the task. You are finding the task, but the task you are finding, we are calling it T. So T or task.id. I believe you saw me doing something like that a while back when I was saying, where is it? Not here. No, I think it is here. Yeah, here it is. You see on toggle, task.id. So to avoid repetitions, that's why I say T._ID, because in MongoDB, that's how we call an ID, underscore.id, that is created automatically. You don't need to do it by yourself. Now, let us proceed. Where is it? So, T.id. But this ID that we have, that we are fetching, has to strictly match with the ID that you are giving. So, the ID that you are giving is here. This is the ID that you are giving. We are saying that in the database, there's an ID called 2. So, we are saying, okay, the ID that is called 2. Does it match with the one that we have in the database for a particular task? So if it is there now, we have found it. So after finding it, we now come and say, let us now respond because we have found it. So we come and say const press, we come and say await. So what are we waiting exactly? Because toggling is updating. By toggling, you're saying update. So again, we come and say await for what? Await for update task. So we call the update task and the specific ID that we have, that we are passing, which has been matched. So it has to be matched before. It has to be matched before we proceed to the next part. So has it been matched? Yes. So if it hasn't matched, what exactly are we doing here? So we have to find it. So for us to be able to update, we need to bring all the tasks, copy paste all the tasks, put it there and say, now among these tasks that you're seeing here, what do you want to update? So we want to update the completion part. So we come and say complete, and then say, okay. Initially, when you say task completed, the default is false. But this time you want to revert the logic. You say we negate the false one. Now we come and say completed. It has to be completed, not complete. It has to be different from this one. Actually, this one is completed. So initially, this is the state by default. When you create a task, it is not complete. That's why you are creating it. But as soon as you change it, how do you change? You cannot just come and say completed and then put here true. We cannot put here true, yet you have not passed a boolean here. So we come and say task.completed, then we negate. When you negate, it's just saying task completed, but it's the default one. When you negate, it becomes true. Now completed, true. It's going to update the particular ID of the particular task that you're fetching or just spreading there. I believe you understand the logics. They are very hard, but can now come with it now. After that, let us update the tasks. Just exactly how we did it, by the way. But this time you're not going to use this one. You're going to use a different way because we already use here. So we come and say, very simple, priv. The reason I'm using priv is mimics the previous data. So we come and say, let us map. You already know the meaning of mapping. You can just go and check what is mapping. How do you do mapping, essentially? So we come and map. So we map and make sure that everything is updated as per what we need. So we come and say t._id strictly. It has to be strictly equal to the ID. Spacing there. Otherwise, .data t. Very simple. This logic, sometimes I don't need to explain them. But what you have to understand here, we are saying the thing that we have already updated here, which is t. Now, we now come and update and do the completion. We say now the ID that you're looking for. It was found, we are mapping it, we are updating the data accordingly to what has been done here. You see this one res. So take this one res.data. We are updating it according to the new task, which is attached to the ID. So the task has to be attached to the ID for this last function or this last logic to work. Very simple. Imagine that's just completion. JavaScript is a bit sweet and a bit hectic. Now let us handle the last part, which is handle delete. We are handling the delete. Then the rest of the parts just sliding through ID. Very simple. Now this one is very simple. Just find by ID and delete it, by the way. So await. Just say delete. Just call the entire. Just call that method, which is handling the ID, by the way. When you call this method, let me go back here. You can see it only takes the ID. Just takes the ID and delete it. After that, update needs to be updated automatically. So you come and say set task, then you come and say trial. Exactly the same thing that you have been doing, except here we are filtering. It's all about matter of filtering. You don't need to do a lot of things here, a lot of thinking. But we're using, because I was using the same logic, I'm going to use the same logic here. So t._id. So here we are saying, basically here we are saying, maintain everything except, okay, don't know how to bring it, but I want to bring it in a way that you're going to understand, such that except everything, delete the one that's not to be included, like that is not equal to this ID. Okay, I don't know how to bring it, like it's a bit confusing. Let me first of all write what I have in mind. I'm a bit tired, by the way. I'm a bit tired. That's why. I'm a bit tired. But basically what you're saying here, people, this function especially, let me just explain line 34. I've already told you that it's going to send data, blah, blah, but now specifically, after the backend has confirmed, so we are waiting. So here is a matter of waiting. So after we have confirmed the ID that you're talking about for that task that you want to delete, what happens is we refer to the previous state. That's what I've been doing all along. So refer to the previous state, we filter, but this one is going to create a new array. What you're seeing is going to create a new array basically with the task, like it's going to create an array, a new array excluding the task with the matching ID, excluding the task with the matching ID. So it's going to take the previous state. If it is 1, 2, 3, 4, we want to delete number 4, right? So it's going to take 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to filter it. Then it's going to exclude number 4. So this one is excluding number 4 now. After that, it's now going to fully update everything. It's going to take back everything. Then we now have the new array, which is 1, 2, 3. Because in an array is going to take one or more tasks. So let's say you want to delete task number 4. Task number 4 has an ID which is here, which we are passing. So first of all, we confirm with the database that it is there. So this one is like an investigator. Investigates, checks it is there. After waiting, it's going to say now it is there. Now take the exact state that we have, the previous data that we had, then filter it and say, create a new array. That new array, have it, but exclude what we have found in the database. So it's like your friends isolating you, saying that, you're not in our class, just go. What I've just highlighted, that's the function that runs in their mind. I'm not saying that, but okay, might be true. Wait. Somebody saying correct. Okay, handle. You see, these things are handle. Okay, thank you. Where else? False, check. Check false. Yeah, thank you. Me, I'm just typing. Someone is saying it may down. Where? It is flowing, yeah? Okay, let us wind this thing up. Now, after doing all of those things, let us now have the UI, because the UI is now what is going to determine how we've been talking to ourselves or not. So have our JSX up and running. So how do we do that? So have our div as our root element. Then I'm going to throw in a couple of things. So I'm just imagining what is there in home. So class name. I want the viewport height to be a bit good. So min h screen. Remember now commas. Background I want it to be a bit gray. That's why I did the other one white. You can be able to see there what I was trying to do. After that, I want the padding to be 10. I want the maximum width to be excel. So max width to be excel. This max width. I want the margin on the x-axis to be auto. Then we're done. I think that one suffices. Now we proceed inside. So I want the header. I can say this one, call it quick tasks. So how is the styling for this? So class name. We just come and say, I want the text to be Excel, 3 Excel, especially I like that. I want the font to be bold for it to say, okay, now bold. I want the margin bottom to be 6. I want the text to be centered. Yeah, we're done with that. What else? Now, let us have our form, our custom form that doesn't have form, essentially. So this one is going to have, let me just put it in a good way. So dot input. Yeah. No, it's not dot, it is that way. Input. It's just like HTML. You can see, just like HTML. Now class name. So I want it to flex because it can be of any size. So flex, then gap, a gap of 2, then margin bottom, push everything that you're having inside there by 4. And then we have input. So input is not normal for this part. Now we can come and say value. So this is where English now misses the I, just works. So value we want on change to be, this I've already explained by the way. Take that event, so it works with an event. So we want to say set text, not task, set text. Set text, we can say, is normally e.target.value. E.target is going to say e.target targets the input itself, element, and then dot value, now the value that is being entered by the user inside that input. So e.target, so it's all about DOM by the way, dot value. That is the English that normally misses the I there. Then you can come and put a styling there. This telling I'm going to say, let us have a border, let us have a padding of 2, then have this thing as rounded, then have it to be full, like 100% of what we have. 100% of what we have. So width should be full, like end to end. Then after that, we can say, let us have a placeholder. So this placeholder is going to say enter new task. And say new task. Yeah, we are done. So you can enter new task, then you can have a button. So this button is going to be of type submit, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to say, this one I say add. And then inside here, I'm going to say, let us have an on click. So on click, which is going to take what? So when you want to click add, it's going to call this one here. This function called add. That's how you link it to the UI. Now it is full. Now I can be able to add. Let us have a few styling here and there for this one. I can come and say class name. I have a background of blue with a shade of 600 maybe or 500 or even 400. Background of blue, but normally I think it's 600. Then have the text as white. And then have the px as 4, then have it rounded. I think we are done for that. Now that is the form. This is the form, ends here. Now, how about after putting the form, because we are doing everything at one place, some people are texting here, let me see, line 45. Round, thank you. Yeah, thank you for that. People have walks eye. Yes, in far. Now, let us proceed. Now, we want to create an ordered list because the task that we are creating, we can have it as ordered list or an ordered list. So, an ordered list, they are going to appear as bullets. And you already did, if you check here, where is it? If you check here, I already did list. That's why I'm bringing the ordered list. So it's just a matter of now calling them right here and using them. So UL. So for UL, what exactly are we targeting? It is fully dynamic. So we are taking tasks, we are mapping. This is like load everything together, take what we have, then you're bringing the task by task. So we want to showcase the task that we have. And then within here, what else are we targeting? So we are targeting something very important. Remember, we already done the task item, right? We already done the task item. So we come and bring it, and then, hold on. So we come and bring it, but we bring it in a key value pair. This I've already explained in the past class, so you can just go and check. So the key is going to be listed, like all the tasks are going to be listed chronologically by the ID. Which one was first, which one was last, and so on. And then we are going to take the task. So the tasks are going to be displayed as well. So we come and say task. And then this one is going to be the on toggle. So on toggle, what are we talking about on toggle? So on toggle is being handled by what? Handle toggle. And then deleting. What are we talking about ID? So this one is going to, the task item, when you call this one is like an iteration. It's going to iterate all over your database and check task by task. So each task should contain what? Should contain an ID, should contain the task itself, should contain a way to toggle complete or not complete, and also should contain a way to delete it. So handle, delete. You see? And then I come and close this one. Just like that. So with that, people, we're almost done. Because we have done, this is why we are going to fill our form here. After clicking submit, you're going to see it appearing here immediately. So it is going to be amazing, by the way. Now, we are not done yet. So the last role, or the last step that we're going to go to jump on, let me close there, and let me close there, is now export. Export default home. That's like a component. Now, this one cannot be able to appear on the UI without taking it to JSX. So to app there, so we can just come here, app.jsx, import, we're importing home. If home has everything, then we come and say, take 2 steps, 1 step, pages, then home. We're done. Then we come and say function. You can call function, you can call anything that you want. Just like that. Then you come and say return home. So this one should be like that. Wait. This one should appear in a way that I want it to appear. It's a way that should appear. No, it's not appearing, but anyway, it should appear like this home. Just like that. So after doing that, this one is going to just offer rendering. Because this one also answers to somebody. So who does it answer to? It answers to who? It answers to main.jsx. And main.jsx has index.css, which we have already put the style, just one line, and everything is there. So it should be imperative or should be clear for you to be able to understand how these things flow. Now, let us see the moment of the truth, by the way. Have we been making sense or not? cd server.js. Okay, let me zoom in for this one. We're done, by the way. Let us see now the moment of the truth. Now let us start our server, which is npm run there. Also this one is npm run there. You can come and check and confirm. If you're not sure, you can check here. But because we're using npm, that's why. So we come and click, hit enter, done, and then hit enter, done. The fact that you're not seeing any error, that's a success. Now come here, localhost 5173, the moment of the truth. There you are. You can see we have white, we have gray. Now let us say learning man stack. Then you hit add. You can see it is. Let us now check in the database if we have this thing. You just come quick start. There you go. Let us do another one and say calling no. There you go. When you go here, refresh, there you go. You can see they are not even flinching. They are not even flinching. So, in a nutshell, we have already come up with a full stack project just by doing what we've done. From front end to back end to database. with the REST API. Now let me open for us questions. Now people can unseal their mouth now. I believe you have understood, you have enjoyed the session. Let's start by Angela. She's been having the hand raised. Oh, let me delete, by the way. I have not done that before Angela asked the question. So let us delete this one. There. Just wait. Let me see on the database if you have deleted. Refresh. There you go. Deleted. So you can ask your question one by one.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon. Evening, in fact.
Okay, it's afternoon, yes, past 3. Okay, so my first question is, this app like APP, is it a keyword or a variable that can take any other name? That's the first question.
Which one?
Then app like APP that is inside the JavaScript file, is it like a variable or a keyword?
No, you can just replace it, but make sure it matches here. It's just like the name of the file and change it.
Okay. So it's not like it's a keyword that must be there. You can use anything you want.
No.
Okay. Now the second question is, when I was doing my week 2 assignments, after working on my code, following the lessons you give in the video, I used ChatGPT to critique it, and it told me that my code does not have a function that checks for duplicates. That is because when I tested my creates, that is pushing from my VS Code to MongoDB, pushing from Postman to MongoDB, I was able to push, like the same goods, like the same thing. The only thing is that in Postman it showed me error, but MongoDB actually accepted it. So when I ran my code, ChatGPT was telling me that if I don't want it to be like that, I have to create a function that checks for duplicate function for duplicates. That is, if you're pasting the same product and all that, it should give an error message or so. So I don't know if it's possible to maybe just throw a little bit of light on that. Though I was going to do it, but I was already tired, and I just wanted to just submit and take a break. So I don't know if you can just give us a rundown on that. I don't know how possible it is.
Yeah, you can actually enhance your functionalities or your logic to make sure that you're not submitting duplicates. Yeah, you're not submitting duplicate tasks and so on from the front end all the way. So it is, you just write validation code, especially just write them on the front end. Let me just give you, I'm not going to do it, but I'm just going to show you how. For example, if you go to home.gsx, you see a place whereby you are adding data here. So after checking, you can just revamp everything. Like you can just, first of all, trim data to remove the white spaces. And then you're going now to check for empty or duplicates. Now, to check for empty or duplicates, it is kind of a validation process that you have to check. You see, it is a validation that can be hectic a bit, but let us see. Okay, for example, we can just come and say, remove this first of all. And then come and say, let us first of all check for duplicate data. So we can come and say trim, and then say maybe talking about text. So the text has to be trimmed, right? So trimming is removing the white spaces, like I said. After that, first of all, you can come and say now the trimmed data. You can come and say trim, and then return. So this is like a fallback mechanism that will give you immediately. And then now the duplicate now. So how do you do that? So first you can come and say is duplicate. So if it is duplicate, what you can do is, remember validation is all the way. You can do it on the front end or optionally or back end using on the Mongoose level. But it is important to do it where the user is using it, which is the user interface. So you can come and say task.sum. So the data that the user is giving, you're going to take it, and then specifically, you're targeting the text that they are giving because the text is on the UI. Converting everything to lowercase, This one is supposed to be camel case, lowercase. After that, what you can do next is strictly compare that with the trimmed data. So don't worry, this is just part of validations that we normally do. So true, lowercase, but we're not done yet. This one is supposed to be like that. Yep. Now, if duplicate, if there's a duplicate, give an alert. Task, maybe task already, maybe task already exists. So that one is going to be on the user interface, then just return back. So this one is going to be on the UI directly, it's going to hit you, but you're not yet done. You're not yet done. So you come and take this trimmed, because you are saying here create the task and everything. So you take that text, you say text trimmed. Text.trimmed or text trimmed, you take it and put it there. So this one is going to make sure that no data is being repeated, but this is validation on the UI. We have validation on the backend, we have validation on the backend on the Mongoose level, we have validation on the logic, the controller level. You can implement all the way if you want to put attack security. So it is going to just make sure that your user experience is clean and immediate. The one that you have just done is going to make sure. So for example, I come here and say, so you see this one is calling my mom, one of them is capitalized and so on, so I can come here and say calling my mom, then I do it. Okay, it's like we don't have that alert. Let me see. I have not implemented toasts, but they are being thrown here. Okay, we have an issue here. Yeah, we have an issue here. We have a very big issue there. I'm not seeing it. But it was running. So let us throw in there. So calling my mom. Okay, we don't have an issue there. Let us check an issue if we have an issue here. So here is the issue. Line 23 to lowercase. So it's reading undefined. Line 23, let us see. Now to lowercase. How am I getting that? Aha. Here's the issue. This one is supposed to be task, not text, not task item. There is the issue. You see, typing faster sometimes can be an issue. Now let us check. Calling my mom. There you go. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you do it. You can see it's the same thing, but different capitalization and everything. Unless you come and say calling my mom, then put an extra, that's when you're going to get two different, because the text is not matching exactly what you're talking about. So you can go to the database and you can see initially it was not even entered, but the second one, because the text is matching, it's been entered. So if the text is exactly how you initially put it, you're going to get that. If you're clicking it as complete, you just click it by there like that. When you click on the task, complete, not complete. For example, complete, you come and refresh here, it's going to change from false to true. So if I go back, do that again, then refresh, false. Don't know if you've understood that. So there are so many levels in terms of validation, but this is just immediate and it is a clean level for user experience. Any other question? Let me in the meantime share the code. with my new thing here. So ref.git cd. But I hope the class was good. In case you have any comment, you can just throw it. Okay, we have an issue there. Yeah, going to be big. Made a mistake there, so let me clean it. So completed, not completed. Yeah, so if you want to check if the class is completed or not, like the task, just click on it. You can see it is giving you that cross. And when you go here, this is initial state. False, false. If you refresh, you're going to get true, all of it. So that's the toggling that we're talking about. You can actually reverse the process. Of course, we can implement a button for that. But you can implement a button for that. It's just that we don't have time. So let me do something here that I didn't do. So make ignore. I have to make ignore. Okay, I don't know my commands by the way, git. Okay, you see, it is now imperative for me to understand how to use these tools. How to make ignore, yeah. So you make ignore, just like that. Press a git ignore template. But we are going to mention, so make ignore node. So it should be able to create an ignore file with a node.js things. See? So imperatively it should be very, yeah, this is what I was targeting. Now let me check, this one is already there, so it cannot create. Good. Impressive. Now, init, commit, or you can say MERN, catchup, victory. Yeah, now it is now much good now. What are you remaining with? So it is done. Getting a lot. Now let me see. Did I put the one for publishing? Yeah, push me. This is the command that I was looking for. You're going to see why. Now, when I go here, I say git command stack. Let me show you how. Let me use AI impressive readme file. Let me add a readme file as we move along. So let me add this one, new repo. This is week 3, right? The owner is the owner. Week 3. Public create. So let me copy what I have here with the endpoints and everything so that you can be able to understand. Okay. Taking too long. Copy. Readme.md. Don't want that. I don't want that. Let me see. but they have not added this one. Copy, put it there. Nice. Okay, let me see, what are we forgetting? Don't need that. Also, we don't need that. Good. Now, and this one is already good. So what I'll do, you see now the file, environment file, I'll duplicate it. So cp.env.example. Oh, sorry. Server.js, then repeat it. Good. So we have it here. Yep, because this one has been ignored. Now, so commits readme file added. Now push new. Now to push new, I'm just going to copy that, hit enter, it's going to publish. Marvelous. There you go. Done. Now, any comments, any question at the, okay, so Cosmonic 3 assignment, I didn't use Tailwind. Am I wrong? Okay, if you want to use Tailwind, you can use. If you want to use CSS, it's okay, but in future, you are going to start using Tailwind for a reason. It is easier, sleek, seamless. You move with it very quickly. Any other comment as we close the session? It has been good. Yeah, you can just unmute Felix.
Good afternoon, Mr. Deda.
Afternoon.
Yeah, my question would have to do with the back-end deployment. So last I was deploying my back-end on render, and I tried to deploy the MongoDB URI, the localhost, and I was not successful. Then I tried with the other one, and I was able to do it. I don't know if you could throw some light on that.
Yeah, of course, it cannot work with the localhost. Localhost is meant for local. That's what I'm teaching you right now. But when it comes to deployment, I'm going to show you how to work with the cloud. That's three things. Vercel, number one, for front-end. Number two, render. For backend, number three, I'm going to show you how to work around with MongoDB Atlas, the one that was in the cloud. And also show you alongside how to secure your environment variables. And then finally, number five, I'm going to show you something to do with automating your deployment, such that if I make changes and then push to GitHub, it is going to deploy to respective cloud services. That is to render for backend, to Vercel for front end. Then everything syncs really well. You understood?
Thank you. Understand.
Yeah. Yes, Angela.
Thank you.
Your hand is up.
From what the last person said now, does it mean that deployment for front end is different from deployment for back end?
Yeah.
Or they can't be deployed like together and all that?
You can do it, but it's not recommended. Just have services that are running differently. Just imagine your heart and everything dies. Okay, you can do it on the same, but render works well for the back end, and also render has services for front end.
Okay, but what if I'm doing let's say for instance now it's I'm using a hosting company, like most of these hosting companies like Bluehost, Namecheap, InterServer and the likes. I don't know what's the difference. What are the advantages and the disadvantages?
Now, for those things, this is just hosting. You are using a host service, which
Okay.
is like a playground for you to play around with everything. Like instead of using Vercel, this and this, they are okay. But for me, what I'll say that is now enterprise for this. You are going big for hosting domains, emails, and everything. So it is good. Namecheap is only for domain purchasing and configuration. Bluehost, what do you call DigitalOcean, all of this, they are host services. But we go with the one that we don't pay. Vercel we don't pay, and we don't pay.
Okay, but if you're doing like let's say for instance now I want to build a website and I also want to monetize the website using AdSense, does it mean that I can still use any of those ones that does not pay and I will get the same value?
Come again?
If I'm using let's say I want to build a website
Mm-hmm.
and I intend to monetize the website using Google AdSense.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I use those free hosting services for developers,
Mm-hmm.
will it still work? Or I don't know. I heard that there is a limitation, but I have not confirmed. So
It
I
will
just
work,
want to
but
get confirmed.
most of them they are not configured for fully fledged production ready. They are mostly configured for MVPs. Like you want to spin something quickly, they are easy to spin immediately. But when you want to add things like AdSense, that is where you find things like Firebase. You host them there and make sure. So every platform for hosting, they have configuration, they have limitation, they have pros and cons. They have their strengths where they have strengths in and so on. So you just need to pick the one that suits the kind of project that you're working with. But for Manstack specifically, we are focused on making your project go out easily at first go. So there's no need to hustle, do this and so on. For me, I use a lot of hosting services like hosting platforms. Vercel and Render is just one of them. We have Fly.io, we have Railways, we have DigitalOcean. I can put on AWS, I can put on Azure, GCP, every other platform. I just go with the one that matches the kind of project that I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because one of my goals, I don't know if it's still a long term goal or a short term goal, is I actually want to create a monetized website,
Mm-hmm.
either a service website or just a blog, and then I'll monetize it with AdSense. I already have a domain name, but I'm just hoping that the domain doesn't expire again before I'm fully ready.
Go and check how Google does it on Firebase. I think they have a provision for that.
Okay, thank you so very much. So Firebase is the most recommended for developers, right?
For Google AdSense, like for
Okay,
exactly what you
okay, okay. If I want to do something on Google, I have to use Firebase. But
yeah.
I'm guessing that it's paid. Like I'm thinking that it may not be
There's
free.
a free version, but there's also a paid version.
Okay, thank you so very much. I know the more I make progress, the more I ask questions and all that, because it was actually blogging that pushed me to web development. So while I am now seeing every other thing that is involved and finding it interesting, I still want to someday accomplish my goal. And it seems like my stuff just finished copying now. Hopefully before Friday, I should fully move to Ubuntu. I'm just looking at my computer screen. It's fully showing me total copied, hit, mismatch, failed, extract. I was told if I see this, that means it's done copying. Let me check for the next step. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome. Let us go to. We have that name is very hard. Kuzue.
It's actually Kuzue. Yes, good evening, Mr. Dedan. I just wanted to appreciate you for such a wonderful session. My God, it was really amazing. Trying to process everything. At least I was able to see the full picture of what we are doing.
Yeah.
Then, Mr. Dedan, somewhere along when you were writing the code, I saw where you call the method response dot data. So I was trying to know whether data is a method that depends on response. You called rs dot data. So I was trying to know whether data is a method, an inbuilt method on response.
A very good question. Now I understand your question. I saw that coming a mile away. Let me go there. Where is it? Here it is. Now, in the context of Axios, we are talking about Axios. In the context of Axios, which of course we are saying it is working with the HTTP request. Now, res, in this case, in the context of Axios, is the response object returned by the server. Underline that. That is the first definition, the first part. Now, the REST data that you're seeing there refers to the actual response body, or you can say payload from the backend. That's why I was underlining this one and actually pointing it to this one. So this one request body and this one REST data. They are one, like they are twins from the same stomach, so they do the same thing. REST data refers to the actual response. So when you sit here and say return or response JSON is going to go to the UI, so it takes it from here, and now you can be able to see it on the front end. That's why you can be able to see request body. This one requests from the front end. This one is requesting from the front end. Request from the front end, but this one is response from the server. So you have to understand that really well. When I take you to the services, I think I've not defined it, but they were here. Where are they? I've done all of it here, by the way. I'm seeing it right now. So when you're doing it, even if you go and write in the services and call this by access directly, so you say maybe const res. For example, you write a line like this. Let me just give you an example. You come and say const. Let me just write for you to get the context of what I'm talking about. Res, right? Then you come and say await. So of course we're using a synchronous operation. Then Axios dot get. Then now you can be able to come and pull this one out. Don't know if it is able to pull. Okay, not yet. Come and pull this one out. Put it there. Then you're talking about API, but for the API you're talking about tasks. So we want to fetch from the database. Then when you say console log dot log, you can now call the res. So this one is going to put every actual data that we have. This one is going to call every actual data that we have from the response. So res, it is fetching directly via Axios everything that the backend has. So that entire process, res.data. So it is very imperative for you to be able to understand. So that is what your Express API sends when it does this res.json. What does it send? it sends exactly what you're seeing here, the data now. It is sends this one. So they are the same thing. One of them is on the back end, one of them is on the front end. So JSON is just a matter of bringing it as a JSON. But what I can just come and say about this one, I can come and say something like, let me just underline here, and then you can be able to see. Let me put an arrow so that you can be able to understand. So this becomes, that's why I was telling you to be observant. You're going to see a lot of similarities. So becomes res.data on the front end. Have you understood that?
Okay, yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so res.data, the meaning of it is, the meaning of this essentially, like the body of the response JSON that we got from the backend. That is exactly one and the same thing, except you cannot come and say res.json. No, you come and say res.data because in Axios they use data, not .json. Express they use .json. The other side they use the data.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
I know it's a lot of questions. I believe you're satisfied because I feel like you're not.
I am really. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let us go to Steven.
Hi, Dylan. So I just have a question based on what I have a question based on what you started with. You think you won't teach us anything about regarding payment integration, but I've really been interested in seeing how to integrate Pari like a pesa, because just as Angela, like there's something I'm trying to come up with, and I'm trying to figure out how when someone, let's say, purchases something from the website using a pesa, like once they pay, they're able to get it instantly.
I'm not getting you loud and clear, by the way. I don't know, buffering a bit.
Oh, hi, can you hear me?
A bit.
I was asking, when you started, you said you want to teach us anything about payment integration. My question was, because I'm really interested in knowing how the M-Pesa API work, what will that price me? Like, where can I get the information? Like, where I can just get all the information and learn more about it, because I'd like to use it at some point on my website. Something like that.
Now, I went back, but the recording has been deleted. Not this code, but the code that just graduated on a few days ago. We did. I did a masterclass by them. I did a masterclass on M-Pesa integration, and we did full stack, by the way. We did M-Pesa integration, and it was working on STK. We were able to do STK push and actually syncing the information out in the M-Pesa code on the UI. So we can request the administration so that we can have another payment integration masterclass. That I can do that because I'm willing anytime, but I just want it to be official so that I can do it for everybody's benefit. That is for the M-Pesa side. But M-Pesa doesn't work across Africa, right? What works across Africa is Paystack. I don't know if even Nigerians they know, but Paystack they came from them. So even PLP, I think some of the features or some of the products they use Paystack. So I don't know unless they have changed, but Paystack is across Africa, whereby it has M-Pesa inside us, it has everything. So we can be able to do that, you see. But I'm of this opinion that if I do M-Pesa, people from Nigeria are not going to benefit from that. If I do Paystack, the learning curve is a bit steep. So we need to meet at the middle, whereby we can agree. We do a series of masterclasses based on payment integration, whereby you're going to find a masterclass that has M-Pesa, a masterclass that has Stripe integration, a masterclass that has Paystack integration. So if I can just sit down with my team, we formulate that ideology, we make sure that we come with a proper format of bringing it out there, such that those people who want to do financial applications, they can be able to do that. Is that in order, Steven?
Yeah, that's another. I'll really appreciate it if you could push it because I feel like there's a high demand for it.
Yeah. Okay, not actually a high demand, but people just want to see how money works, like flying without hard cash. But anyway, let's go to accent. Then we'll finalize with Zach. Accent, please.
Yes, good evening, Dedan.
Evening.
So my case is a little bit different, but still on the issue for hosting. So now for my case, I have an AWS account. I don't know whether you can be able to assist me to have my applications hosted in the AWS platform.
I'm going to point it to somebody who has done certifications on that AWS. For me, I've not done. I've just been perusing through AWS, doing inference, learning on data science and everything. But I'm going to point you. Find me behind the tent. I'm going to point you to the right person who has done that before. You're going to be okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Zach, how are you?
Yes, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fine.
Yes, first of all, I want to thank you for the wonderful session. It has been really amazing. I've learned a lot. I wanted to ask a few questions. Number one is I just want to echo something about the payment. I think it's important because personally I have a number of projects that I intend to start as startups, and at some point they involve payment. So if you can talk to the management and you have a masterclass on that, we will really appreciate. And then the second thing that I wanted to ask is this thing of hosting, sending images and videos to a database. How does somebody work around that if you want your database to store videos and images?
So you want, okay, thank you for that. You want MongoDB to actually store images.
Yeah.
You can actually do that, but now you can have logics where they convert, where they convert your images into bundled URLs.
Okay.
So it is not hard, but to store images in MongoDB,
Yes.
you have two main options
Okay.
in our use case. So the first option is storing them as buffers.
Okay.
So when I talk about buffers,
Yes.
what I'm talking about is string formats, like thumbnails or small images. You can be able to do that, like when you are saying, let me just point to what I'm talking about here.
Okay.
Find it difficult to explain things sometimes, but here in your schema,
Yes.
you can easily come and say, I want an image, right? So
Yeah.
if I want to store an image, what I can do, so the first option is the data that you're talking about is buffer, store them as buffer, and then the content type can be string now. Is it the content type can be string? Don't know if I've done it correctly, but okay, yeah. So you can store it this way, such that this is on the database side, but when it comes to the logic side, saving the image, you can save it using the file system, like the read file sync method that allows you to upload an image. So you click upload, then it comes from your device, you upload. Then when you save it as content PNG. That is the first option. The second option is called grid FS. So it is best for large images. This one is the best for small images. So if you have images more than 10 MBs and so on, it's efficient for streaming, but they have issues. So these are, when you go, you can just search these things. I've done it before using Next.js, but you can go here in NPM. You can just come here and search. You can come here and say grid FS. Don't know if it is there. save files in MongoDB gridfs. No, it is gridfs, not gridfs. Yeah, here it is. So it's Sarapa. So, but the one that I'm talking about is this one. So it is Malta gridfs storage. So Malta storage engine for gridfs. You take this one and you take this one. So this one is writable, readable, Node.js, compatible, gridfs stream. So these two. This is the second option for large images. You see? Then you come and configure them. So there's a way that you write your code to make sure that it syncs well.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is not hard, but just do research. It is not hard, but just do research. These two, Malta gridfs storage and gridfs streaming. These two, these are the ones. For example, if you go for the storage, the one is for streaming, one is for storage.
Okay.
This is how you can go to see. You can see how you do it. Yeah.
All right. And is it the same for video files?
Now, for video files, now you are going to do it in a YouTube format way. Do you know how YouTube stores videos? Do you know?
Not really.
YouTube and all of these streaming platforms, they store videos via something called CDN, Content Delivery Networks.
Okay.
So if you want to serve this one via CDN, you have to store the images or file system in the cloud. So the cloud, they are going to generate URLs, special URLs that are going to break down your video or your file. But if you want to do it via CDN, that is for scaling, for another thing. But all of these two methods that I've given you, they all converge to and use it for CDN as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. Somebody saying use Cloudinary. Yeah, you can use that. But for me, I like using free stuff. I like using free stuff. For me, I don't like paying for services for the project that I'm not going to earn any money. So I like using free stuff. Forgive me for doing that, but Cloudinary is okay. Any other question, any other query? But if you don't have any, see you on Friday. I'm very tired, by the way. The session was to be for 1 hour, but now how many hours? 3, 4, 5, 6. What? 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 hours. Wait. But anyway.
Excuse me, sir. I have a question. I recorded the video for this lesson, so I don't know how to post it where for people to access it.
Just put it on Drive, then send it to my email. I'm going to take it, then spread it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, I think now you have a clear picture of what is before you on Friday. Come packed, and I promise that I'm going to do my best, but please do your best to understand the concepts. Okay, it is mask day, but we do it remotely. I know what you're talking about, but come to class. Now, be prepared for. I'm going to send content on the email. I think on Thursday, together with the link for the class on Friday. Come prepared for the class. After week 4, like I said, back-to-back projects. After 2 days a project. I need you people to do it. Find your teammates. Do it with your team member, do it yourself. If you want, just be active. Just be active and make sure that you flow, because the time is pretty much gone. On Friday is going to be at the peak of the mountain. Then from there, we are going to go on a slope. Socket IO, which is on sockets, testing and debugging, which is like, that class even should not be there, because we normally debug. Now, and then the last one, we say week 7, that is something to do with the deployment. Amazing class there, you're going to see amazing stuff. And then finally, you do a project. By the week 7, you should be having like 4 or 5 projects done, which is going to like jack up your muscles for the final project. After week 4, one final communication after week 4, kindly even your peer groups. You can unmute, please. Mute. Okay, after week 4, kindly pass this to your peer groups to inform them that they need to start working on their final projects as soon as possible. For those who are not in WhatsApp group, I'm not going to send the link. I think I already said that a while ago. I think I already said that why. I think I saw your email, the one that is asking for the group link. I don't remember what was in the email, but I think I saw it today or yesterday. If you are not in the group, please just send me an email. I'm going to compare if you're in my class or not. Send me via LMS email. Send it to me, then I'm going to add you if you're in my class. Ask your peer group members after week 7, after week 4, which is this Friday, start formulating final projects. And after week 4, start doing projects back to back, until you become good. Because when you do it over and over again, it becomes muscle memory. And it becomes part of you, it becomes a habit. You're going to get used to it, to writing codes. Don't worry about the AI. AI is not going to take your job. Yeah. Otherwise, what are we doing as PLP? We are wasting our time if AI is going to take your job as developers. So we are here. Vibe code if you need to, but make sure vibe coding doesn't apply if you don't understand the concept. Only vibe code if you understand the concept. Without much ado, see you on Friday. Bye-bye. Thank you, Anissa.